Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa Buddhang namami, Dhammang namami, Sanghang namami. Homage to Marabhante, Guru Bhante, Bhikshu Sangh. Metta to Samneras, Anagarikas, Upasakas and Upasikas. So now is the time to listen to some Dhamma after the puja and meditation. So today this sutta, Kandaraka Sutta. So this sutta was given partially to this to this elephant driver, elephant rider, and the wanderer Kandaraka. So it is about different practices that a human being go through, and what are the practices which are good and what are the practices which are not good or harmful. So Buddha was staying in near Champa, a place called Champa, in a Gaggara lotus pond with a lot of monk. So then Pessa, the elephant driver's son, and Kandaraka, the wanderer, went to see the Buddha. When they approached when they had approached, Pessa bowed down and sat down to one side, but the wanderer Kandaraka exchanged greetings with the Buddha and stood to one side. But the wanderer, he looked around the mendicant Sangha who were so very silent and said to the Buddha, "It's incredible, worthy Gautama, it's amazing how the mendicant Sangha has been led to the practice properly by the worthy one, worthy Gautama, the perfected one, the fully awakened Buddha, the perfected ones, the fully awakened Buddhas in the past or in the future, who lead the mendicant Sangha to practice properly, at best do so like the worthy Gautama does in the present." That's true, Kandaraka, that's so true. The perfected one, the fully awakened Buddha, in the past or the future, who lead the mendicant Sangha to practice properly, at best do so like I do in the present. For in this mendicant Sangha, there are perfected mendicants who have ended the defilements, completed the spiritual journey, done what had to be done, laid down the burden, achieved their heart's goal, utterly ended the fetter of continued existence, and are rightly freed through enlightenment. And in this mendicant Sangha, there are trainees who are consistently ethical, living consistently alert, living alert. They meditate with their mind firmly established in the four kinds of mindfulness meditation. So this sutta about these two persons, Pessa and Kandaraka, they are very much happy to see that the monks, they are disciplined, they are calm, they are disciplined, and they are very much impressed. And then the Buddha says that it is because of the practice of the four foundation of mindfulness. Four foundation of mindfulness, that is the mindfulness of the body, the mindfulness of the feeling, the mindfulness of the mind, which is consciousness, and the mindfulness of the Dhammas, the things of the mind, the different elements of the mind. So So it is when a mendicant meditates by observing an aspect of the body, keen, aware and mindful, rid of covetousness and displeasure for the world. They meditate observing an aspect of feeling, keen, aware and mindful, rid of covetousness and displeasure for the world. So also they meditate on the Dhamma. So how they practice is observing an aspect of the body. So and keen, aware and mindful. So when it comes to the body, you are aware. You are aware of your own practice, your own movement, your own physical movement. Of course, there will be, we will go into detail later. Sorry, I have little cold today. Yeah, that's better. Thank you. So it is about the four foundation of mindfulness, aware, and then mindful and aware, and the rid of covetousness and displeasure, which means you are not too much attached to the body, or you kind of dislike the body. So also feeling, so also the mind. We will go much detail later about it. So then after this, the Pessa, he says, "It's incredible, sir, it's amazing how the Buddha knows what's best for sentient beings. Even though human continues to be shady, rotten and tricky, for human beings are shady, sir, while beasts are obvious. For I can drive an elephant in training, and while going back and forth in Champa, it will try all the tricks, bluff, russes, and feints that it can. But my bond servants, the workers, behave one by body, another by speech, and they are mine another. It's incredible, sir, it's incredible, amazing how the Buddha knows what's best for sentient being, even though human continues to be shady, tricky, and rotten. For human beings are shady, that's true." So one of the important thing here is that because he is an elephant trainer, he's telling that it is easy to train animals, because they just do whatever they have in themselves. But then human beings are different. No? They do one thing, they say another thing, and then they think another thing, right? So when this was said, the Buddha also said, it is true. Yeah, it is true that human beings are like this. Then Buddha said there are four kinds of people. One mortified themselves, committed to the practice of mortifying themselves. The first kind of human being is who torture themselves, or torture themselves, or put themselves to difficulty. Another one individual mortify others, committed to the practice of mortifying others. So second kind of people, they give trouble to others. And third one individual motivate themselves and others commit to the practice of motivating themselves. And third one, they torture themselves and then tortures others also. And the fourth one, obviously, who doesn't torture themselves and others. So four kinds of people you can see in the world. So then the Buddha, then he asked him, which Buddha asked this elephant rider, Pessa, he asked him, which one of these four individuals do you like the sound of? So which one you like? So he says, I don't like the sound of the first three individual. I only like the sound of the last individual who doesn't mortify either themselves or others. So he says, I like the fourth one. But why don't you like the sound of these three individual? So why don't you like the first three kind of people? So the individual who mortify themselves does so even though they want to be happy and recoil from pain. That's why I don't like the sound of that individual. The individual who mortify others does so even though others want to be happy and recoil from pain. That's why I don't like the sound of that individual. The individual who mortifies themselves and others does so even though both themselves and others want to be happy and recoil from pain. That's why I don't like the sound of that individual. The individual who doesn't mortify either themselves or others live without wishes, cool, experiencing bliss, with self become divine, does not torment themselves or others, both of whom want to be happy and recoil from pain. That's why I don't. So obviously, somebody who doesn't torture or give pain to others and oneself, he likes that kind of individual. And not somebody who torture oneself or others or oneself or others, right? So these four kind of people can be seen. Yeah. So then after this, he says, Pessa says he has to go, right? Then Buddha said, okay, you can go. Then after he has gone, the Buddha tells to the monks, that if Pessa would have stayed for a little longer time, he would have achieved something higher because he had the wisdom. He has the wisdom. But since he left, so he couldn't understand deeper, Then the monks, then the monks, they invite the Buddha, they request the Buddha to tell detail what are these four kind of people, Sorry, I have cold. Okay, so what is the first one who torment themselves? And what are the individual mortify themselves, committed to practice of mortifying themselves? It's when an individual goes naked, ignoring conventions. They lick their hands and don't come or wait when called. They don't consent to food brought to them or food prepared for them or an invitation for a meal. They don't receive anything from pot or bowl or from someone who keeps a sheep or who has a weapon or a shovel in their home, or where a couple is eating, or where there is a woman who is pregnant, breastfeeding, or who lives with a man, or where there is a hound waiting or flies buzzing. They accept no fish or meat or beer or wine, and drink no fermented gruel. They go to just one house for meals, taking just one mouthful, or two houses and two mouthful, and up to 7 houses and 7 mouthful. They feed on a saucer a day, 2 saucers a day, or up to 7 saucers a day. They eat once a day, once every second day, up to once a week, and so on, even up to once a fortnight. They live committed to the practice of eating food at set interval. They eat herbs, millet, wild rice, poor rice, water lettuce, rice bran, scum from boiling rice, sesame flour, grass, or cow dung. They survive on forest root and fruits, or eating fallen fruit. They wear robes of sun hemp or mixed hemp, copse, wrapping cloth, rags, lord tree bark, antelope hide, whole or in stripe, kusa grass, bark, wood chips, human hair, horse tail hair, or owl's wing. They tear out their hair and beard, committed to this practice. They constantly stand and turning down sit. They squat, committed to the endeavor of squatting. They lie on a mat of thorns, making a mat of thorns their bed. They are devoted to ritual bathing 3 times a day, including at dusk. And so they live committed to practicing these various ways of mortifying and tormenting the body. This is called an individual who mortify themselves, being committed to the practice of mortifying themselves. So this is the practice, especially in the name of a spiritual practice. So you can see different with regard to food, with regard to clothes. It is done. So thinking that, practicing like this, for example, going naked or, wearing some very thorny cloth or eating some very just grass or something. So this kind of practice people do, thinking that this is something important for the spiritual practice. So this is, as we heard last Sunday, Buddha also did especially the food part. He was not eating at all, eating very less. So this kind of practice that one does is not a good one. It is just you are torturing yourself. That's it. You don't get anything. If you torture like this, you don't get anything. It is just a wrong practice. Now, the second one is torturing others. Somebody who tortures others. So who is this? It's when an individual is a slaughterer of sheep, pigs, or poultry, a hunter or trapper, a fisher, a bandit, an executioner, a butcher, a jailer, or someone with some other kind of cruel livelihood. This is called an individual who mortifies others, being committed to the practice of mortifying others. So this is regarding the people who are whose livelihood is butchering. So because you are torturing others, by killing animals or pigs and other things. So this is the second one, which is a wrong practice. And what is the third one? Somebody who tortures oneself and others. So not only oneself but others. It's when an individual is an anointed aristocratic king or a well-to-do Brahmin. He has a new ceremonial hall built to the east of the citadel. He shaves off his hair and beard, dressed in a rough antelope hide, and smears his body with ghee and oil, scratching his back with antler. He enters the hall, scratching his back with something, very painful. He enters the hall with chief queen and the Brahmin high priest. There he lies on the bare ground strewn with grass. The king feeds on the milk from one tit of a cow that has a calf of the same color. The chief queen feeds on the milk from the second tit. The Brahmin high priest feeds on the milk from the third tit. The milk from the fourth tit is served to the sacred flame. The cow feeds on the leftover. He says, slaughter this many bulls, bullocks, heifer, goats, rams, and horses for the sacrifice. Fell this many trees and reap this much grass for the sacrificial equipment. His bond servants and workers do their job under threat of punishment and danger, weeping with tearful faces. This is called an individual who mortified themselves and others, being committed to the practice of mortifying themselves and others. So the Buddha gave the example of somebody who is king, who becomes newly king, and they do this ritual of where they torture themselves, like scratching their back and sitting on a very rough ground. And then they, they order so many animal sacrifices, cow, horse, all of that. And then they also forcefully make the workers do the work for them, right? So this is somebody who is torturing oneself and others, right? So I think this is one example of torturing oneself and others in this kind of a ritual, certain ritual where you are it also involves killing. And one of the main pattern you see here is some kind of a physical pain or physical trouble. So this has been one of the even today also, that people think that by torturing oneself, one can achieve something higher, something bigger, by physical difficulty and torture to oneself and also to others. This has been the practice in the past, and maybe today also. So, but maybe today less, maybe less, but maybe in some other form, not necessarily in a religious way, but in the modern culture of chasing the success, people may be torturing oneself and others. How people, they too much only working, too much working oneself and also making others to work in a very painful surrounding, in a painful way. This is something we can also see. And now what is somebody who doesn't torture oneself and others? So it is here, of course, it is about the Buddha. So Buddha comes in the world, somebody who is awakened, somebody who is good in knowledge and teacher of gods and men. And then somebody hears the Buddha's teaching, and then they think that they can become a monk, they think like that. And then they give up, they become monk, and then they give up everything, all kinds of torture, all kinds of pain to the people, to beings, everyone, and they give up stealing, they give up sexual misconduct, and then they give up telling lie, and then they give up all the 10 karmas, by speech, by body. And like, for example, not dividing people, but creating harmony with regard to speech, and then they give up even certain talk which are not so meaningful, and then they give even from injuring a plant or some insect, and then they so it's about basically from monk life. So they eat at the right time, not at the wrong time, which is the morning part. And then refrain from make fragrance and luxuries and all of that, and then from accepting servant pigs and all kinds of things. So they don't accept lot many things. Basically, live a much more, as much as possible, a very simple life, And then they are content with a cloth, simple cloth and food, and they are like the bird. Wherever it flies, wings are its only burden. In the same way, he is content with that. Then this is with regard to his life, and then whatever the six senses, eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, and mind, they are restrained. They are restrained in their senses, and then they wrong kind of mind state they remove, and then they are beyond this covetousness and displeasure, not caught up in the liking and disliking. They act with awareness when going out and coming back, when looking ahead, aside. So it's like every kind of movement, whether eating, drinking, chewing, tasting, every walking, standing, sleeping. So every moment you are aware. So we were in the beginning we heard about the four foundation mindfulness. So this is now we come to this. So you are aware of every movement of yourself, because if you are aware, then you can catch your mind. Because the mind can very fast change. The mind can very fast move. So then they are aware like this, and then they meditate. Meditate in any kind of place. Maybe something like, even it can be forest, it can be tree, it can be even a monastery like this, but quite secluded, quite calm. And then meditation. After the meal, they return from a sit cross legs, set their body straight, establish mindfulness in their presence, giving up covetousness for the world. They meditate with the heart rid of covetousness, cleansing the mind of covetousness, giving up ill will. They meditate with the mind rid of ill will, full of sympathy, full for all living beings, cleansing the mind of ill will and malevolence, giving up dullness and drowsiness. They meditate with the mind full of rid of dullness and drowsiness, perceiving light, mindful, aware, cleansing the mind of dullness and drowsiness, giving up restlessness and remorse. They meditate without restlessness, their mind peaceful inside, cleansing the mind of restless and remorse, giving up doubt. They meditate having gone beyond doubt, not undecided about skillful qualities, cleansing the mind of doubt. So basically these 5 hindrances, when you meditate, you come across the 5 hindrances, right? This dullness or restlessness and all of that. So you meditate like that to give up all your mental hindrances. They give up these 5 hindrances: corruption of the heart that weaken wisdom, then quite secluded from sensual pleasures, secluded from unskillful qualities. They enter and remain in the first absence. So you enter into the first, second, third, fourth different level of samadhi, which is equanimity, rapture, peace, all of that. So a very higher state of mind. When you give up this the different hindrances of the mind, you achieve this different level of achievement. Then what happens is, then they can, next comes, when their mind has become immersed in samadhi like this, purified, bright, flawless, rid of corruption, pliable, workable, steady and imperturbable, they extend it toward recollection of the past. They recollect many kinds of past life, that is 1, 2, 3, or 4. Similarly 20, 30, 100,000, many earns. So they focus, they can, when their mind is so much deep into meditation, they can see many of these past life, So this is something important, because when you see your past life, so you can get an idea of how your mind is working, and how it has developed, how it has declined, like that. So then they can also see next so many other people, all the people in the world, all different other, not only their life but others, how they see, how they were, how they also, it's not just me, but how they also they work. For example, you can see here. They see sentient being passing away, being reborn, inferior, superior, beautiful, ugly, in a good place or a bad place. They understand how sentient being pass on according to their deed. These dear beings did bad things by way of body, speech, and mind. They denounced the noble one. They had wrong view, and they chose to act out of the wrong view. When their body break up after death, they are reborn in the place of loss, a bad place, the underworld, hell. These dear beings, however, did good things by way of body, speech, and mind. So like that, they see how people go through because of their own karma. How the karma works. So you get the sense of that. So once you see this, then what you understand is the Four Noble Truth. This is suffering, this is the origin of suffering, this is the cessation of suffering, this is the way to the end of cessation of suffering. So then now you get a clear idea of what is suffering, cause, and its end, and what is the way to the end. So when through meditation you can actually see that, and then you are able to get a very, very clear picture of the suffering, how actually suffering comes in our mind. So also not only us but others as well. So once they have this deeper understanding, then it leads to their mind. They are freed. They are knowing this, their mind is free from the defilement, sensuality, desire to be reborn, and ignorance. They are freed, and they know they are freed. So when you get a very clear picture of how our life go through from life to life because of our own karma and our own desire, then we our mind loses its craving for whatever kind of the very life itself, right? So the very desire to be born, to be continue, right? So then you are free. Then your mind is totally free. So then rebirth is ended, spiritual journey has been completed, what had to be done, there's nothing further for this place. So this way your inner desire to be to continue, because here it's not just about one life, right? It's about many lives. So we keep on going through life, and then we suffer, and then we go through, then we suffer. So it goes on and on. And when you see all of this through your own experience, then you lose you lose the desire to continue, which is called the bhavatanha. So that way you are eventually free. So this is called an individual who neither mortifies themselves nor or others, being committed to the practice of not mortifying themselves or others. They live without wishes in this very life, quench, cool, experience bliss with self become divine. So this is somebody who doesn't trouble others and ourselves. So here what we see is that we see the reality of life, but we don't trouble. We don't trouble ourselves or others. We don't trouble anyone, right? Or we can say a minimum, a very minimum or as less as possible, any kind of trouble to oneself and others, and we try to free ourselves. So, but in the first one or first three, troubling others and oneself and others, and for troubling oneself, troubling others, and oneself and others both. There too, people are seeking happiness, but they don't really get the happiness because it's again dependent so much on external. Even if you say giving difficulty to your own body, but that too is something external. It is not internal, right? So you're not addressing to the core problem, which is inside of us. So when you meditate, what is mentioned here, but before meditation, of course, you give up all kinds of say livelihood or all kinds of practices that are all kinds of practices that are at least physically, that are not good for people, which means you live by wholesome practices, at least in the body and the speech. Like it is mentioned, don't steal, don't sexually abuse, or don't tell lie, all of that, which we have learned today. So then that is like a preparation for the meditation, right? So when you are meditating, then your mind becomes much more calm, and then once it becomes very stable and calm, it can also go deeper into the past, and this is something very important. So like meditation here in Buddhism is not just to calm down mind, not just to have peaceful mind, but it has a bigger picture, bigger it has much bigger purpose, which is to go in the past as well. The past life is very important because because when you see your past, then right, whether God has created you or you are just born, you are just one life, that kind of thing. So the practice of Buddha is not just limited to this life itself, and just focusing on this life alone is not going to solve the problem, because your life is continuation from many lives, and it is going to be continue as well, right? So that is very important. And that is, we have to see, though some people may not so much believe in the past, but here it is not about believing, because when you are very deep into meditation, you can see your own past life as well, as Buddha mentioned here, which Buddha himself saw, and others also can see that. So that really becomes a big kind of opening, right? So imagine you can actually see your own past life. That will be very interesting, isn't it? It can be very interesting to see how your past lives were. And not just one life, two life. Here Buddha is mentioning like thousands of life, and including some eons and eons, which means this world, how this world itself goes through evolution and dissolution, extinction, and again appearing. So a lot of things become very clear to you. And when you see the story of so many past life, then you get a clear picture of how your mind and life is actually working, So at that time, it is not just the Buddha is saying, but at that time, it is you yourself is able to see it, how your karma is working. So Buddha is mentioning also karma, how the karma is working, what kind of karma we do, and then how we suffer, and how we enjoy also, and how we suffer also. So all of this thing is seen here. But if you are just troubling yourself and others, whether in the name of religion, or whether in the name of development, or success and all of that, as I mentioned today, or political reason, or commercial reason, or religious reason, so there you can't, right? You can't gain any solution, you see. Now, if you look at Buddha's own life as well, he was also he was also a prince, who had everything, and then he knew that was not solving the problem of human being. A problem of human being is not just physical, right? It's not just food, clothes, and all of that. I mean, today people have everything, but still there is a problem, And therefore, Buddha is saying that that you focus first on your karma, in this life, which is shila, and then go deep into meditation, and then you see the whole story unfolding itself as you become deeper into meditation, right? So now, of course, after hearing this, you might feel, oh, seeing many past life and all, can I ever see in the deep meditation? But at least we get some kind of a picture, right? What Buddha is trying to say, and we have some hope, right? We have some hope that that I can actually achieve. I can actually achieve a state of mind, a state of freedom, a complete freedom of my mind, and which is liberated and which is totally peaceful and forever. That kind of state, like the Buddha achieved. So that's the hope, and it is not something beyond our possibility. So because Buddha is denouncing many of the physical difficulty, right? Even here, of course, it is spoken mostly to the monk, but Buddha wanted to speak to the Pessa, the elephant rider, as well. So which means it is for the lay people as well. So even though you may be a householder, but you can practice it as well, right? You can, following a good Shila is possible, and because there were many in Buddha's time as well, even now as well, many lay people who are also very deep into the practice and meditation and good karma, good Shila, and achieve some higher level of spiritual attainment. And that is nothing but a stability of mind, a kind of a more happier and free mind, right? So this is what we see here. So for whatever reason, we should not harm ourselves and others, because as Buddha said, that everyone wants happiness. Nobody wants suffering, nobody wants pain. Sabbe sankhara, not dandavagano, sabbe tasanti dandasa, sabbe bhayanti machuno. Everyone afraid of violence, everyone afraid of death. So you cannot ever try to harm oneself and others. Because if you are just torturing yourself, you will be miserable, more and more miserable. Like we heard last Sunday, how Buddha himself was almost like a living skeleton, not eating for many months, and became very much sort of like a skeleton. So that is not going to help us. So what we have to see here is to have a life which is not torturing yourself and others. Very important, right? Whether in a family life or in a business life or whatever, making sure that you don't harm yourself and others. That's a bad karma, that's a wrong karma. And not only you will not get freedom, but you will get a lot of difficulty and pain by torturing oneself and others. It's not good. So when you give up that, then you meditate. Very important. Meditation is very important. Then you achieve very higher happiness, very joyful happiness, and lot of unfolding, lot of wisdom and freedom. Freedom from your own inner defilement. Buddha said the mind by nature is very bright and very peaceful, but defilements, the external defilements, it pollutes the mind, right? So through meditation we can get rid of all the defilement, the 5 hindrances that Buddha mentioned: kama, chanda, vyapada, being obsessed with the sensual world, sensory world, and secondly, vyapada, ill will, that is anger and hatred. And third one is dullness, that is inactiveness. Fourth one is restlessness, and fifth one is doubt. So you're not sure about something good, which you are, the thing that guides your life, the good teaching or the good path. So a lot of things here today we see, but in short we can just say that no torture to oneself and others. That's the one line in this sutta, right? No torture to oneself and others is the way for your happiness and freedom. Yeah? So this is the teaching we can see from here, today's sutta. So I hope it has helped you to have a perspective of the path, and again for rethinking, recollecting on the teaching itself. Yeah? So with this I conclude. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.